listen to what Pharaoh said. He said, you can worship, but I want you to stay right here. I don't want you to leave Egypt. I want you to stay right here in the land. That was the first compromise. And look what the devil has done to so many Christians. You can come and worship. Oh, you can be so blessed, but you can stay right in the world. You can be just as dirty, just as nasty. Never hear the Lord say, come out from among them and be you separate, saith the Lord, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you. You're going to go on being unequally yoked together with unbelievers and think you're really going to be able to worship the Lord. And so watch what the Lord did. In verse 28 of this 8th chapter, Moses said, no, that won't work. And Pharaoh said, well, I want you to go then, but not too far. If you're going to leave town, just get on the outskirts of town so I can reach out there and get a hold of you and bring you right back into bondage once again. I'm telling you, if you're going to serve Jesus, sooner or later, you got to make up your mind, I'm going all the way. And Jesus said, if any man will come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross when? Daily, and follow after me. So God has to send some more plagues. He turned the water into blood and the frogs and the lice and the flies, and then He sends the sickness upon the cattle and the boils and the hail, and He goes back to him the third time in the 10th chapter, verses 8 through 11 says, let my people go. And listen to what Pharaoh says this time. He said, you can go, but just the men. I want you to leave your wives and your children here. Oh, Pharaoh, he had a plan there, didn't he? If they left their wives and their children, he knew they'd be back. I'm telling you, we need to be like Joshua. As for me and my house, we're all going to go. That's the reason today the feminization of our men is a destructive force that the devil is using. Because God still wants to call men, and men are supposed to lead out, and men are supposed to say, we're going to worship God, and my children are going with me, and my wife is going to go with me, and I'm going to be the priest and the leader and the example in my household, and it's going to be passed down to my grandchildren, and they're going to see a godly example in me, that this wonderful worship experience and being free from the hand of our enemies is for the entire household. We need to be like the Philippian jailer. We need to wash their wounds in the midnight hour, and then our whole house would get saved, and then the whole house could follow Jesus, and we'd be living in a different world today. A different world. And I can let you help me just a little bit without offending you. I know the greatest problem in our community and our little old rundown town. I know the greatest problem. I know the greatest problem in Kentucky. I know the greatest problem in the United States of America. Too many bastards. Too many fatherless children. I visited them all day yesterday. And no presence of a man. But a little old single mother in the housing project. Little old single mother living on just meager means to get by. And where is the man? The man said, I'm not going out to worship. Pharaoh's got a hold on me. I can't break his hold. I'm telling you, in America, until that hold is broken on manhood, we're going to keep on traveling the very same road that we're traveling down. We got to have fathers in the home. Well, remember now, Zacharias' boy John the Baptist, he's going to turn the heart of the fathers to the children and the heart of the children to the fathers. That was going to be his big job. I'm telling you, he sure pleased his father Zacharias. And so God says that won't work. And so now the fourth compromise is on its way. But God has to send 2 more plagues. He has to send the locusts to eat everything they've got. And He has to send darkness, and it's so dark. For 3 days, it's so dark, they can't even move. But when the Egyptians would look over in the land of Goshen, oh, the street lights were on. They saw that there was a candle burning over there with the people of God. Aren't you glad after all these years, and you little pastor, been here for over 40 years, there's still a light in the house of God. And there's a light on Sunday night. We've not dismissed on Sunday night. And there's a light on Wednesday night. And in the gymnasium and downstairs and here in the auditorium, there's people still gathering together in the house of God, because we're not children of darkness. We're children of the day, and we're children of the light. And I tell you, in a dark world, there needs to be light in the people of God, and our light needs to shine. And so he said, no. He said, I tell you what. He said, I'm going to let you go, but leave your possessions. Now, they were slave people. They didn't have much. The only thing they really had was their goats. The only thing they had was a few sheep, but that was sustenance. It was their food. And he said, I know they'll be back for their possessions. It's not like they had storage buildings back in those days, like all of us. Got more stuff and we know what to do with. And we built a garage and we filled it up. And we bought an outbuilding, we filled it up. And then we went and rented a storage place and we filled it up. And we ain't been back to check on it. We don't even know what's in it any longer. We got more stuff than we need. They didn't have anything. But you know what's going to happen to them? They needed their animals, their possessions, so it would sustain life. But finally, the Egyptians are going to pay them to get out of Dodge. We've had enough of you guys. Let us give you our earrings and our watches and our rings and our bracelets. We give it all to you. Where you think they got the gold for the golden altar of incense and the gold to overlay, and the devil jumped in. Oh, here we go. Are you ready now? Y'all weren't expecting this on the Sunday before Christmas, and the devil jumped in on the tithe and said, I got to get mine. And he convinced Aaron to make a golden calf out of what belonged to God. And I would say today, old-fashioned fundamental preaching today scares some of you to death. You was raised on it, but I don't know where you went. I don't know what happened to you. I'd say there's some golden calves. I'd say there's some stuff that really belonged to God, and people made them a go. Don't you like what Aaron said? When Moses came down from the mountain and said, Aaron, what have you done? He said, I just mixed up some gold and poured it in. That calf jumped out. Now, doesn't that sound like a brother? Sound just like Gary to me. It just came out of nowhere. I don't know what happened. I just mixed it, and all of a sudden, a golden calf jumped out of there. Moses said, well, we're having more miracles out here. Thought it was a miracle, the 10 plagues, parting the Red Sea after the death of the firstborn. And now listen to what you're telling me, that a golden calf just jumped out of there. Isn't that something? Yeah. And listen to what we tell God. Well, I don't know. How that happened, Lord? You didn't plan on it? You didn't? Oh, I could get on down the road on that. We better move on, hadn't we? And so turn with me over the 15th chapter of Exodus and we'll conclude. And I want to give you 4 scriptures that you can walk with. And they can walk with you as we go into another year. And they will sustain you. And they will remind you that He's going to deliver us from the hand of our enemies and all of them that hate us. He's going to bring us out of the hand of our enemies. And listen again to what He says in verse 74, that we might serve Him without fear. Without fear. And this is going to be so important. But look at this victory song. Miriam, Moses' sister, like Sister Reisner, is going to help lead this song in a portion of it here in the 15th chapter of the book of Exodus. But listen to what happens in verse 6. Thy right hand, O Lord, is become glorious in power. Thy right hand, O Lord, hath dashed in pieces the enemy. He had to send the 10th plague of the death of the firstborn, put the blood of a spotless lamb on the doorpost, and death will pass over you. He's parted the Red Sea. They're on the victory side now of the Red Sea. And the sea has covered over a third of Pharaoh's army. And they're singing the song of victory. Look at verse 9. The enemy said, I will pursue. I will overtake. I will divide the spoil. My lust shall be satisfied upon them. I will draw my sword, and my hand shall destroy them. I got news for you. The old devil's got a long reach. And he's not willing to let you go. You say, well, preacher, I got saved. Well, I know a whole bunch of saved people that are miserable. How many knows what I'm talking about? Because they got one foot on the other side of the Red Sea. And they got another foot headed toward the Promised Land. And I call them betweeners. You say a betweener, they're between Egypt and the Promised Land. And that's where they live their entire Christian experience. And they're just miserable out there in the wilderness. Manna in the morning, manna in the evening, manna at supper time. Is that all we're going to eat is manna? And they complain, and they murmur, and they bellyache on God because they're betweeners. I'm telling you, He wants us to get up and get out and realize that His hand have done great things on our behalf. And listen to what He says in verse 11. Listen to this song of praise. Who is like unto Thee, O Lord, among the gods? Who is like unto Thee, glorious in holiness, fearful in praises, doing wonders? How many would verify today to me that the Lord has done wonders for you? That the Lord has moved in your life as only the Lord could move, and He's liberated you over and over again, and you've been so silly, you've been so discontent, you've been so foolish that you would travel right back down to Egypt and let Pharaoh take a hold of you, and then the Lord would have to come along and loosen His grip again and set you free and get you to the point that you're serving the Lord without fear. In Exodus 32 and 11, He calls God's hand a mighty hand. And then in Deuteronomy, He repeats it then in the book of Deuteronomy 9 more times, the mighty hand of God. I could run to the New Testament, we don't have time. Think about Jesus taking Jairus' little daughter, 12 years old, taking her by the hand and saying to her, little maid, arise. And all the life comes back to her. Think about Jesus reaching out His hand to one that was so unclean with leprosy. When I was in India, I saw lepers by the hundreds, and I tell you, I had no desire to touch them, but Jesus wasn't afraid to extend His hand, even to the leper's hand, and cleanse him and make him as white as snow. And that holy hand is still extended today down to sinful man. Think about Thomas in the upper room, and old Thomas said, I'll not believe until I put my finger into the print of the nails. And Jesus appeared and said, here, Thomas, thrust your hand into the print, put your hand in my side and see that it is I. And old Thomas fell on his knees and he cried, my Lord and my God. I'll think about Peter going walking on the water, and he was doing wonderfully until he took his eyes off Jesus because the waves and the winds were boisterous, and Jesus stretched forth His hand and He rescued him. What a hand today. I'm walking into another year, and I'm believing with all of my heart that the Lord's hand is stronger than the hand of all my enemies. And the greatest enemy that I have is in me. It's my flesh. It's this old natural man. I'm two people. I'm schizophrenic. Look at your neighbor and say, you're a schizophrenic. There's two of you sitting there. There's the natural man, the carnal man, and there's the saved man. And the battle never lets up. Help me, Lord. This old carnal man getting a hold on me. This old carnal man is strangling me. This old carnal man, he's got me in an arm bar. He's got me in a chokehold. Help me, Lord. I need your mighty hand. Let me give you these 4 verses and we'll close. When you're overwhelmed that we're going to serve Him, listen again to what He says in verse 74. He's going to deliver us out of the hand of our enemies that we might serve Him without fear. Isn't that wonderful? Fear will absolutely paralyze you. There's a good fear, a positive fear, a fear of God, a fear that will protect you. And then there's a paralyzing fear. Let me give you these verses. Are you ready? Number 1, when you're overwhelmed, hold on to Psalms 27, 1 through 5. Write it down. When you're overwhelmed, hold on to Psalms 27, 1 through 5. The Lord is my light, my salvation, of whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life, of whom shall I be afraid? When the wicked, even my enemies and my foes, came upon me to eat my flesh, they stumbled and fell. Though a host should encamp against me, my heart would not fear. Though war should rise against me, in this will I be confident. One thing have I desired of the Lord, and that will I seek after, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of the Lord and to inquire in His temple. When you're overwhelmed, hold on to Psalms 27. Though a host be against me, though war should rise against me, I don't have to be afraid, because the Lord is my light, my salvation. When you're afraid of the future, you say, preacher, do you get afraid of the future? I'm fighting the future every day. I'm worried about our young people every day. I'm worried about our children every day. That's the reason we're trying to maintain a Christian school. I'm trying to teach. I'm trying to indoctrinate. I'm trying to raise a fundamental church for the days ahead. Those that will know the faith, anchored in the faith, will earnestly contend for the faith that has been once delivered unto the saints. It's a battle that we're in today. Most young people don't know their right hand from their left. My people are being destroyed for the lack of knowledge. They don't know anything just about even the little fundamental elementary Bible stories. I'm telling you, the devil has robbed them of biblical knowledge. And now they got headphones and gadgets and thumbs that are worn out, looking at all the information that the devil can give to them. You see, knowledge is powerful. And Jesus said we can know the truth, and the truth will make us free. But the devil's setting every obstacle, every blockade in front of the minds of young people today because he doesn't want them to be liberated. He's got them in his hold, in his strong grip. The devil's got them. Isn't that amazing? Absolutely amazing what we're watching. Afraid of the future? Oh, I am. Boyd, I don't know what it'll be. I'd never thought I'd live to see the day that I'm seeing in the ministry. I don't know what you're going to face if the Lord allows you to live. It's unbelievable. But I'm holding on to Luke 12:32. Write it down. Oh, an uncertain future. But we can hold on to what Jesus said in Luke 12:32. Fear not, little flock. It is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Notice now, we're always in the minority. If we expect to be in the majority, we're going to be disappointed. We're a little flock. But listen to what Jesus said. It's your Father's good pleasure. He delights in it. He's going to give us the kingdom. And we can pray, thy kingdom come. Thy will be done. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory. And it's forever. We're headed to the seventh dispensation. And in the seventh dispensation, there's going to be a 1,000-year reign of Christ, and then He's going to offer up the kingdom and a new Jerusalem coming down from God out of heaven, and God's going to be with it, and this world's going to be changed. I'm telling you, we don't have to worry about an uncertain future, about a little bump on our face, and maybe that's a cancer or a melanoma, and I'm feeling different in my body. What am I going to do? I got to go get a doctor's report. There's 1,000 fears about the future, but I'm holding on that Jesus said, fear not, little flock. It's your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom, and I'm a citizen of the kingdom, been washed white in the blood of the Lamb of God. My name's written down. I've been translated from this world to the next world. My citizenship is on high. Fear not. Let me give you two more very quickly. Number 3, when you feel you got no power, no authority, hold on to Romans 8:14 through 18. Romans 8:14 through 18. For as many that are led by the Spirit of God, they are the sons of God. We have not received the spirit of bondage again to fear, but the spirit of adoption, whereby we cry, Abba, Father. And His Spirit beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of God. And if children, then heirs of God, and joint heirs with Christ. If so be that we suffer with Him, we shall also be glorified together. For I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared to the glory that's going to be revealed in us. We don't have to be afraid when the world says, you've got no position, you've got no authority. I am a child of God, born of God, adopted by God. I've got a heavenly position, and that's greater than any position the world could ever offer. Last one, are you ready? When I feel I just can't live the Christian life. And boy, sometimes I get there, don't you? I just can't live this. Well, there was a young preacher felt the very same way. And his name was Timothy. And he said, I can't be like Paul. I can't go to prison. I can't endure shipwrecks and stonings and scourgings. I can't do it. 2 Timothy 1:7. For God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and of a sound mind. Are you ready? Make sure you got them. Number 1, are you ready? Here we go. When you feel overwhelmed, hold on to Psalms 27, 1 through 5. When you feel like that you're overwhelmed and worried about the future, hold on to Luke 12:32. When you feel like you just can't live or don't have any power or authority and position in this world, hold on to Romans 8:14 through 18. When you feel like you just can't live the Christian life, 2 Timothy 1:7. Brother Howard, come and help me. And Brother Siler, give him a little chord, get him in tune there, and we're going to sing incognito. We're going to sing an a cappella. Is that all right? Is that all right? That's the old preacher, you say incognito. We're going to sing an a cappella. And we're going to sing an old one. And I want you to listen for one verse. We're going to sing the last verse in just a moment. I want you to listen. This verse says, "Fear not, I am with thee. Oh, be not dismayed. For I am thy God, and I'll still give thee aid. I'll strengthen thee, help thee, cause thee to stand, upheld by my righteous, omnipotent hand." How many believes the hand of the Lord is stronger than the hand of our enemies? Why don't we start living that way? Why don't we start living that way instead of oppressed and depressed and overwhelmed and overcome, feel like we don't have enough for Christmas? Let's start it, Brother Howard.